Begun in October 2012 by members of the American Honey Producers Association, the Pollinator Stewardship Council was created to address the issue of the impact of pesticides upon honeybees and native pollinators. Our mission, our work, is to coexist with farmers. We do not want to ban pesticides. We simply seek protections for pollinators. Farmers and beekeepers need to work together to be good agricultural stewards. Beekeeping has been in the United States since the colonial era. Many beekeepers today are second- and third-generation beekeepers. When queens fail, when hives experience early out-of-season losses, when colonies die in the fields or do not even survive a mild winter due to pesticide-laced nectar and pollen, it is not poor beekeeping. But this is not your grandfather's environment. New pesticide chemistries, seed treatments, systemic delivery of pesticides are having an overwhelming effect upon honeybees. Research has shown bee behavior is affected and their immune systems weakened by exposure to pesticides. Seed treatments have seen a 560% increase in the United States. The expansion of the use of specific products across the country is dramatic. The regulation of pesticide-coated seeds, however, is not the responsibility of the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, as treated seeds are devices, and as such are not under their control. Once the seed is coated with a pesticide, it is no longer classified as a seed or a pesticide, but it is now a device. EPA states the label is the law, so pesticides are to be used per the label, and that guidance is supposed to protect pollinators. However, EPA states they simply do not value pollinators. They acknowledge pollination can increase crop yields, but they state bees are not essential. When a pesticide is evaluated for registration, only the benefits from the new pesticide are considered. Effects of that pesticide upon non-target species are not part of the equation. And it is an equation, a cost-benefit equation. In the review of a new pesticide, the economic impact to beekeepers and pollinators is not considered. The EPA, whose mission is to protect humans and the environment, does not consider honeybees to have any economic value. It is all about the pest and the crop. Yet 1 out of 3 bites of food is due to honeybees and native pollinators. But EPA states bees are not essential. Now, of course, the EPA has a difficult job evaluating research provided by the pesticide manufacturer, weighing the needs of everyone in agriculture and the public and Congress and the safety and health of our environment. However, their mission is to protect humans and the environment. All humans, all of the environment, including honeybees and beekeepers. The beekeeping industry contributes $20 to $30 billion to U.S. agriculture as pollinators help to create our fruits, nuts, vegetables, and seed crops. Still, bees are not essential. The EPA fails to protect pollinators. As an indicator species, pollinators require our stewardship. The EPA responded to concerns over neonicotinoid pesticides. EPA came out with a new label in August of 2013. The bee picture simply does not imply the product harms bees. There are conditional exceptions allowing for legal misuse of pesticides. This new label was initially only for 6 neonicotinoid pesticides. Neonics are systemic pesticides. A foliar application may do no harm today, but the neonic-filled nectar and pollen set up a pre-lethal situation for honeybees and native pollinators, decreasing the population of the colony and weakening or killing the colony over a few months. EPA has further determined that it is enough that an applicator attempts to contact the beekeeper if hives are in harm's way. If bees are killed, it is the beekeeper's responsibility. After 5 years of meetings, all beekeepers got was a confusing bee icon and 5 exceptions that allow for their bees to be legally killed. The EPA stated in 2 webinars in December 2013 that this label language will be harmonized across all chemistries. So let's review the new label language. Whether the managed bees are under contract for pollination services or not, the label language is the same. First, we have the statement that should make beekeepers happy. Do not apply this product while bees are foraging. Do not apply this product until flowering is complete and all petals have fallen, unless the following condition has been met. If an application must be made when managed bees are at the treatment site, the beekeeper providing the pollination services must be notified no less than 48 hours prior to the time of the planned application. But who decides when treatment is needed? What is the criteria for needed treatment? What constitutes notifying the beekeeper? And what about the residual toxicity of the pesticide application product? And now for the exceptions. And remember, only one of the 5 exceptions has to be met in order to legally kill your bees. Remember, we know the best and easiest way to protect bees from harm is for them to have a pesticide-free food source, pollen and nectar. So not applying pesticides to blooming plants would help the health of pollinators immensely. The exceptions. The application is made to the target site after sunset. The application is made to the target site when temperatures are below 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The application is made in accordance with a government-initiated public health response. The application is made in accordance with an active state-administered apiary registry program where beekeepers are notified no less than 48 hours prior to the time of the planned application so that the bees can be removed, covered, or otherwise protected prior to spraying. How many state apiary registry programs are there in the United States? Not that many. However, if states began to enact them, they need to be fair and equal. If beekeepers are mandated to register their apiaries, then applicators must be mandated to review the locations of apiaries prior to any and all applications. Far too often the state apiary registry programs are unfair. Beekeepers are required to register their bee yards, but applicators can voluntarily review the listing for apiary locations prior to spraying. If beekeepers are going to be charged a fee and placed in a public registry, then its benefit must be utilized by pesticide applicators in order to protect pollinators. Although there is still the problem of what constitutes a notification to spray to a beekeeper. Is it a voicemail message? A post-it note stuck on a hive? A notice on a government website? The last exception is if the application is made due to an imminent threat of significant crop loss and a documented determination consistent with an IPM plan or predetermined economic threshold is met. Again, who determines there is an imminent threat of crop loss? What predetermined economic threshold? For the grower, for the applicator, the beekeeper? Just one of these 5 conditions has to be met for your bees to be legally sprayed and killed. If you are forced to move your bees out of harm's way, what is the cost to you? And why is it okay to sacrifice native bees? Where is it safe to move your bees? In this picture of the apiaries in North Dakota, the blue represents a bee yard. Where can a beekeeper move their bees? Where is it safe? Honeybees and other pollinators are affected by pesticides through drift, dust, seed treatment, systemics, residues, direct spray, rain runoff, contaminated water source. Honeybees and other pollinators are affected by pesticides in many ways. It is not just mites killing honeybees. While not all beekeepers work the crop pollination circuit, some may only pollinate crops within their state, but the effects of pesticides upon their bees is tremendous. By the end of a growing season, a colony of honeybees may have encountered 32 toxic pesticides. Completely unregulated are tank mixes, which EPA states is beyond their scope. EPA acknowledges that not evaluating tank mixes could over- or underestimate risk, but it is simply beyond their scope. Just because a bee kill has not happened to you does not mean they are not happening. They have occurred in the United States in agricultural, urban, suburban, and rural areas. Beekeepers have started reporting their bee kills to the Pollinator Stewardship Council. Our low report numbers, though, are a result of years of beekeepers being investigated, intimidated, and retaliated against for reporting their bee kills, as well as the state lead agency, EPA, doing little to remedy the bee losses. These are bees suffering from pesticide-laced corn planting dust. The state lead agency that did investigate that bee kill finally determined the observed bee mortalities may fall within EPA's acceptable boundaries of impact. 1,312 weakened and dead hives are deemed within EPA's acceptable boundaries of impact. Report your bee kills to the Pollinator Stewardship Council. We need this information to help protect your bees. We can file the report for you to the EPA or submit it anonymously for you, but we need the information on the real-world effects of pesticides upon your bees. Please call or email us when you suffer a bee kill. We will protect your privacy. Honeybees and native pollinators help to grow our food, yet we provide little food for them. Wildflowers, flowering trees and shrubs, flowering weeds. Beekeepers know the value of diverse forage. But be careful where you buy what you plant. A study done in mid-2013 analyzed pollinator-friendly garden plants from home garden stores across the United States and found more than 54% of them contained a neonic, which is toxic to bees. Home gardeners were unwittingly buying pollinator-friendly plants that were actually full of a toxic pesticide. Only recently has research started to examine real-world experiences of honeybees. Research has concluded colony collapse failure is not caused by one thing. Recent research showed a correlation between exposure to fungicides and susceptibility of nosema in honeybees. Research needs to adjust to examine the real-world experiences of bees. Rabobank, the premier bank to the food and agricultural industry, published a report, The Plight of the Bee, expressing concern for the pollination of food crops. They encouraged cooperation between the academic world, governmental bodies, apiarists, and companies directly dependent on pollination, and that any and all pesticide applications should take place in cooperation with beekeepers. The real world of bees is important to us all for our food and for our health. To support pollinator health, the following actions should be enacted now. Eliminate exposure of toxic levels of pesticides applied to pollinator attractive bloom. Reducing toxic pesticide exposure when pollinators are collecting nectar and pollen would improve pollinator health. Pesticide-free forage is needed to support healthy and sustainable native and managed pollinators in agriculture, urban, and suburban areas. Protect native pollinators by eliminating the 48-hour notice to spray, as that just sacrifices native pollinators. Pollinators must be protected in every setting in order to be abundant and healthy for the essential pollination moments. Comprehensively track all use of pollinator-harming pesticides, including in homes and gardens, and seed treatments used on agricultural crops. Accelerate the timeline for re-registration decision of neonic class of pesticides. A moratorium must be placed on their use on bee-attractive plants until the science can be reviewed. Simply postpone the use of neonics until all of the science can be reviewed. In addition, treated seeds must be declared a pesticide application. Pesticide labeling is the law. EPA's new labeling removes mandatory protection. Without mandatory protective guidelines, pollinators will be killed by pesticide misuse. Honeybees and native pollinators are integral to a sustainable and affordable food supply. Please consider making a donation today. The Pollinator Stewardship Council will continue to promote good pollinator stewardship, encourage good agricultural stewardship with farmers and beekeepers to protect pollinators, and work to create protections for honeybees and native pollinators. With your support, we can make a difference. Native and managed pollinators are a national resource needing protection, as pollinators provide an irreplaceable service for our ecosystem in the production of high-quality fruits and vegetables for our families. Please visit our website to learn more about us, sign up for our news list, report a bee kill to us, and share your photos of your honeybees and native pollinators on our Facebook page. Thank you.